Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to continue today with our analysis of the Targeted Individual Handbook. So now we're going to continue with meta communication. So some words used by perps in street theater harassment skits carry with them particular weight to potentially trigger an effect on a person's emotional state. This is called meta communication. Meta messages are suggestions hidden in a statement, perhaps a compliment. The tone, volume, and rhythm of specific words in the sentence are changed so that the actual message is different than what the spoken words were. So this is very true, and this is, in my case, the most used way of harassment. For example, it has been when yesterday when I had an encounter with a gang stalker, when out of the blue he just said the word grinder. And I wasn't sure if he meant of actually grinding something or if he actually meant it as the hookup app. But it was a hookup app, It wasn't really underhanded. It was kind of obvious. But the thing is that my mind was not thinking about gang stalking, so I didn't think of it as him harassing me. I thought of it that he was trying to explain something, and it actually took me a little bit to get the meta communication. So this is the thing. Gang stalking only works when you're thinking about it. How you deal with this is that you literally just have to minimize the importance of gang stalking, and you have to think about anything else. You have to take the reins of your mind and really think of something that you want to think about. The less you think about gang stalking, the better. Even though I am constantly thinking about gang stalking, I am not really thinking about my particular gang stalking operation. I'm actually thinking about the gang stalking in terms and in ways that I can make more YouTube videos. So I am minimally affected by the gang stalking tricks anymore. Like, they don't really have the psychological effect that they used to. I have learned to take the reins of my mind and not be passive about what I'm thinking. That way, any type of effect that gang stalking used to have is completely futile. It doesn't work anymore. Symbolism. Symbolism appears to be a big part of subliminal attacks. After a target has been sensitized, they can even be harassed, insulted, and threatened with symbolism using articles of clothing, newspapers, and other items. So, I'm going to explain to you how a bottle of Clorox was used to harass me. Well, and I spoke to you about this on my previous video of when we were analyzing this handbook. So when I was very self-conscious about the state of my toenails, I used to put to dip my toenails in bleach with water. And I felt to me, that was something that I was very sensitive about. So one time a gang stalker just brought a bottle of Clorox filled with oil for me to dispose. I looked at it and I felt the anguish, I guess. And then I looked at the person that brought it, and the person literally just smiled. He did the gang stalker grin. And that's how I knew that it was meant to mock me. The other case that I talked to you about, that I shared with you, was when a customer brought into the store a printout of an auto part, but the brand was Fly Pig. You know, to any other person it would mean nothing, but to me, because I a pig in bed, and I still think I'm a pig in bed, but I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And I would use crystal meth to get high. You know, fly pig fly. That is a symbolism. Now I would actually talk about this openly. I don't care, whatever. And that's the thing, is that it was only effective, because it was something that I felt shame about, because I felt that I have no idea, to be honest, why I was shamed about it. Why I felt shame about it. Now I really don't care, which is why no gang stalking is effective anymore. Which is why, if you're going through something like this, check out my video on shame, because it is the primary tool that gang stalkers use to tease you. It's shame. Once you become a shameless individual, once you don't care, once it becomes just what it is, they have no power. So that's an example of how symbolism was used. Also, the shopping cart, being homeless. That was a way that I used to be harassed. I still get harassed, like you saw the other day, but I don't care anymore. And that's the thing, because I have no shame. I don't really care. I have no idea why I care so much, to be honest with you. Well, I do know why I care so much. It was because of the forced codependency that I talked about in my other video. But once you get rid of the codependency, once you get rid of the shame, gang stalking is futile. It doesn't have the effect that it will have if you care. So you kind of just have to not care. Now, moving on. The symbolism used entails color, shape, and number. Certain perp cab drivers, for example, will have the number 33 on their cab, making it visible to you and driving a red vehicle. Orange is also used frequently, symbolizing light in the darkness or the life force, life, but it can also be used to symbolize possession by entities, marking the TI as BLEMMYE, or possessed being. I have no idea what that is. So, I have a story to tell you. I have no idea how this happened. I think this was a self-setup that I'm going to talk to you about. But I somehow became sensitized to the number 2. I know it sounds absurd, but I don't know what happened. I don't know how. It was cool, but things in pairs, such as glasses, 2 eyes, 2 wheels, things that were in pairs, literally anything that had the number 2 in it. How? I have no idea. I'm never going to be able to understand how the hell that happened. But things that were in number 2s brought me a sense of terror. I think that this was a self-setup, but I don't know how this happened. Literally, things in pairs were causing me to freak out. It just like sometimes the colors are so things, they just pop up in your head, like they just become, the concept of it just kind of pops up. It's like, so just like when, man, so the first time that I felt something similar was with the color red. It was when I was turned into a germaphobe by the gangstalkers. And then I was just really sensitive. I was just really sensitive. So every time I wash my hands, I would look at the cut on my finger that was set up to happen by my coworkers. They had a little freaking thing that when I moved it, a blade tied to a rubber band just spun really fast and boom, and cut me on my finger. Now, the voice, the part of me that was disassociated from me, was told me to wash it, to change my band-aid every time I wash my hands. I was using a lot of hand sanitizer. My hands began to get really itchy. So I was in the trance. I was in the gang stalking trance. And it was just in it, everything that was meant to, when you're getting gang stalked, the gang stalking trance is when everything that you see is somehow connected to gang stalking. So like I would see a shopping cart and then I would think that is meant for me, and then I would see someone just do that and I would say, oh, that's the gang stalking sign. And then I would see the color, well, I would be behind a lot of traffic and I would think they're setting this up so to make me late to wherever I was going. So that is when you're connected. When everything that you think, your brain just literally ties it into gang stalking. So you do not have the ability. You're locked out of your own mind because your mind is so busy just making connections. So then one day I was just driving. I'm not sure exactly where I was going, but I saw a red Fiat. I began to notice a lot of the color red, and as soon as the red Fiat just drove it, I saw it in my imagination. I almost felt like I was hearing the horror violins play, because all of a sudden everything red was more pronounced. Everything red, like I was noticing the red things, like the color red. It was just simply popping up. It was more vivid. It was more red. I don't know how to explain it, but then everything red that I began to see, I felt that it was placed there purposely by gang stalkers. I felt that people casually using their brakes were pushing the brakes just so that I would see it. Just so that I would see the color red. It felt like everything red was meant for me. And this is exactly what happened with the number 2. Anything that was in pairs, my mind just made the connections, and I would just see 2s everywhere. And again, you know me, my way of dealing with this is say nothing, do nothing, but my inside, like my soul, wanted to run away. So I think that's something whenever you just are connected to the gang, when you're in the gang stalking mindset. Oh, and by the way, gang stalkers can see when you're connected. They see it. It's obvious because you're looking at things and then you kind of just like trance out because your mind just starts rolling. Like you start thinking and you pause whenever you think. You will look slightly uncomfortable. They can see it. It's obvious. They just have to look at your face. And well, the same thing that happened with the color red, the same thing happened with anything that had a 2 in it. And that's how, and it just by itself, I don't think they set me up. I think that my mind was just tying in so many things that it just grabbed one more thing and made it into an anchor. Now your brain will start doing this thing on its own. So I don't believe that gang stalkers put red things on purpose, because no, but it is just that when you're in the gang stalking mindset, your brain just starts making connections without your permission. That's why it's so important for you to literally take charge of your mind. You have to sway it into another direction, because if you allow it to just be without any type of restraint, it will work against you. Gang stalkers just expect you to relax and to leave your mind do what it wants. That's why they want you tired. That's why they want you high. That's what they want you broken down, so that whenever you're broken down, you know you're unsure of who you are. You don't stand for anything. You're just tired, and therefore they can pull your mind in any direction that they want. That's why it's so important for you to be rested, to know who you are, and to have a plan where you are actively trying to pull your mind in the direction that you want it to go. Because if you just allow them to take charge of it, they're going to destroy you. They're going to pretty much tie your mind in such a way that you're locked out of it or in it. I'm not sure exactly. I think it's more like you're locked out of your own mind. Like you're on the you're a tangent line that has access to your mind, but really you lose control of it. You literally lose control of your mind. Now let's keep going. Symbolism. So let's see, cab drivers. Symbolism is also associated with what is known or believed to be the cable, to be related to the target. An example, like I already give you an example. An example is the target having been in certain locations and the cable employing drivers with vehicles whose license plates are from those regions. So that gang stalkers are not going to do that. The person that wrote this, just they don't understand the gang stalking mindset yet. The person who wrote this is talking out of experience, but it's not talking out of the gang stalking illusion. They are talking about how they believe that their mind was looking for more connections. They were connected when they had this experience. That's why they believe that the license plates that they saw were somehow related, was a way of gang stalkers to mock them, saying that they know where he's from. So I want to read it again. Symbolism is also associated with what is known or believed by the cable to be cabal. I think it's cabal, right? Cabal. I'm going to pronounce it like cabal. Okay, to be related to the target. An example is the target having been in certain locations and the cabal employing drivers with vehicles whose license plates are from those regions. That's a delusion. Another example is where gang stalkers wear clothing that bears certain words, phrases, logos, or other symbols that are believed to have meaning for the TI, and allow them to know the cabal knows about them and they are being watched, or to convey related message to the target. So I can relate to this because I am from the Imperial Valley, and the area code of phone numbers is 760. So when I was at work and I would ask the customers for their phone number, and it would start by with the number 760, I would immediately just make the assumption that is, I'm getting gang stalked, they're gang stalkers, and they are using the 760 number to tease me. But that is not true at all in the smallest bit. It is just reality. But because of the experience, because of the gang stalking trance, you will believe those things. But that's not the truth. The truth is that nothing in the world has changed, but your perception, or you are more, your mind is just more sensitive, and it can be easily swayed, and it's tired, and your mind is going to be making these assumptions. But you have to keep your foot and your mind grounded on reality. That it is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. It is only that you have been conditioned to look at reality and to perceive it that way. That's all for this video. Thank you.